Today, we're going to unpack a really unique philosophy from a modern Korean speaker. And, it challenges some of the most basic ideas we have about success and happiness. It all kicks off with a question that, well, a lot of parents probably ask themselves.
You hear this all the time, right? If you want your kids to be successful, you've got to teach them about money. And you have to start early. Just look at the role models we're always told to follow.
Yes, the classic Warren Buffett story, starting businesses as a kid. It's legendary, and it's held up as the absolute gold standard for how to raise a successful child. But what if that model isn't the right one for everyone? Or, more importantly, what if it's not the right one for right now? And that's the counterpoint from the speaker whose ideas we're exploring today. He's basically asking, hold on a second. He suggests that just copying these historical models of success, especially those often associated with the Jewish people, might be missing a much, much bigger picture for a different group of people in a totally different era. Okay, so let's dive into this. To really get what he's saying, we're first going to explore why those old models of success might not apply anymore. Then we'll get into this idea of a nation having a hidden purpose and how a specific generation has a special calling. In all of this, it builds to his core teaching, a super simple but really powerful 70-30 rule for how to live a truly good life today. So why even question a model that seems to work so well? Well, according to this speaker, the right path isn't one size fits all. He argues that different peoples have different historical missions, and you have to understand your own mission to know how to live. The whole philosophy really hinges on this stark contrast. He says that, on one hand, the Jewish people have already fulfilled a kind of external role, making huge, recognized contributions to the world in science, commerce, you name it. But on the other hand, he claims the Korean people's role has been one of internal preparation, preserving their lineage and culture mostly unseen by the rest of the world, all for a future mission that has to do with creating peace. Now, this idea of internal preparation, that's the key to this whole argument. The speaker is suggesting that Korea's relative obscurity on the world stage for so long wasn't some kind of accident. He says it was a deliberate, centuries-long phase of development. Think about it like this. For centuries, the entire national focus was inward. The mission was to protect the bloodline, to cultivate the people, to pass down knowledge from one generation to the next. It was kind of like a huge multi-generational project to forge a very specific tool for a very specific job in the future, a job that the world wasn't even ready for yet. Yeah, the speaker puts it pretty bluntly. He says, because all this preparation was internal, the world doesn't really recognize Korea's value yet. The real action, the big contribution to humanity, he believes, is still to come. And that long period of quiet evolution, he thinks it's now coming to an end. Okay, so if the preparation phase is over, who's supposed to carry out this big mission? Well, the speaker's answer is incredibly specific. He believes one particular generation is destined to fulfill this purpose. He pinpoints the generation of post-war baby boomers, the folks who are now in their 50s and 60s. He argues that this specific group isn't just another generation. No, they are the ones the whole thing has been building towards. So from this point of view, everything has been leading to them. They were born right after the war. They became the nation's biggest demographic. He says they're the culmination of all that long internal development, and he claims they have the highest quality of knowledge needed for the job. It's their actions, their leadership, that are meant to finally show the world what Korea's purpose is all about. So this all leads to a really crucial question. If this generation has such a huge mission, how are they supposed to actually live their lives? And the answer is the speaker's core teaching. And let me tell you, it's a radical shift from the past. So here it is. This is the central rule for this new era. You must dedicate 70% of your energy, your focus, and your resources to living your own purposeful, meaningful life. And only 30% should be dedicated to your children. This is a complete 180 from the past. You see, the duty of previous generations during that long prep phase was to sacrifice for their kids. Their life's work was the next generation. But now, the speaker is arguing that duty has totally changed. Your main mission is no longer just to raise children. It's to live your own life and live it fully. And he doesn't frame this as just, some nice advice. He calls it a law of nature. He says if you invest 40% in your child, you're going to experience 10% more suffering. If you invest 70%, you're going to face 40% more hardship. And what's more, He claims this imbalance actually hurts the child because they get burdened with receiving more than they've earned, which makes it harder for them to find their own path.
So if life isn't about sacrificing everything for your kids, and it's not just about piling up wealth like the old model suggested, then what's the ultimate goal? What does it actually mean to live well? And this is where he redefines success completely. It's not an external thing, like how much is in your bank account. It's an internal state. A truly well-lived life is one that is genuinely joyful and happy. Sure, money can feel good, but he makes a very clear distinction. That feeling is temporary. True happiness is a sustained state of being.
And he connects this personal happiness to a deep spiritual duty. He argues that the traditional ways of honoring ancestors, through rituals and things, are less important than this. The greatest act of filial piety, the absolute best way to honor everyone who came before you, is to live a life so full of joy and purpose that it actually resolves their lingering sorrows. Your happiness becomes their peace. And that really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. This whole philosophy suggests that every era, and maybe every group of people, has a different definition of a life well lived. So, as the world keeps changing, maybe the most important question we can ask ourselves isn't how to follow the old maps to success, but what it means to draw a new one for ourselves.